You arrive into the world in a dimly lit room of a remote mountain village in feudal Japan. No celebrations, no grand announcements, just hushed voices and worried glances. Brilliant start. First lesson of ninja life. Making noise gets you killed. They take silence extraordinarily seriously round here. As it happens, your mother swaddles you tightly and whispers, "Welcome to the IGA clan, little shadow." Your parents don't even share their real names with you. Trust is rather a luxury. Kid, you learn to answer to false names before you've even learned to walk properly. While other babies get charming little mobiles above their cots, you get a collection of shuriken dangling over your head. Not a toy. Mind you, your first bedtime story concerns how grandfather got himself poisoned for sneezing at a thoroughly inconvenient moment. Marvelous. You're barely crawling when training commences. Other toddlers are learning to stack wooden blocks. You're learning to hold your breath underwater for increasingly uncomfortable stretches of time. Again, your sensei says, with absolutely zero emotion, "Longer this time." Fantastic childhood memories being made here, truly. By age 4, you're already climbing trees, scaling walls, and falling down rather a lot. No crying permitted, though pain is weakness leaving the body, or so your instructors keep insisting. You're fairly certain it's just pain, but nobody's particularly bothered about your opinion. Your playmates are actual training partners who've been instructed to attack you when you least expect it. Surprise, mealtime ambush. Welcome to a life where even supper might do you in. The good news is you receive toys. The bad news is they're all weapons. Happy birthday. Here's your very own kunai knife. Try not to stab yourself. Or do, actually, because apparently learning from one's mistakes involves bleeding rather profusely whilst bandaging yourself up. While ordinary children are getting on with reading and arithmetic, your education features some rather unique additions. Today's lesson, the 17 vital points of the human body, ranked by how swiftly they cause death. School notes, more like encrypted death threats. Meet me by the river actually means ambush training at dawn. For homework, you'll be mixing your first batch of poison. Your instructor size. That would have killed you instantly had you tasted it. Progress, apparently. At age 7, stealth training begins in earnest. Hours spent standing in freezing streams to mask your scent and presence. The best bit, if you move or make a sound, you start over from scratch. Such tremendous fun. You learn to walk without making a single sound, which would be a far more impressive achievement if anyone were actually around to notice. But that's rather the whole point, isn't it? Congratulations on your entirely unwitnessed accomplishments. By 10, you're learning the art of disguise and deception. Too obvious, your instructor mutters, "A merchant wouldn't wear his beard like that." You spend hours studying how ordinary people behave so you might blend in amongst them, which is somewhat ironic, given you've never once been permitted to be ordinary yourself. You're essentially researching a foreign culture without ever leaving your village. Your diet is another particular delight. While other children enjoy proper meals, you're being fed peculiar herbs and gradually exposed to common poisons in order to build immunity. Dinner conversation is a genuine treat. If you can taste the poison, it means you need considerably more practice identifying it faster. Yes, the familiar taste of nightshade with hint of oak and a ghastly stomach cramp on the finish. Quite exquisite. Your teenage years bring the joy of actual missions. Your first assignment sounds straightforward enough. Deliver a message to a neighboring village without being spotted. Perfectly normal teenage business. Don't move a muscle. The dog loses interest and wanders off. Mission accomplished. Not quite. Your sensei was following you the entire time. I spotted you 3 times. Do it again. The hardest part isn't even the physical training. It's the mental isolation. No emotions, no friendships. Smiling at the wrong person. That's how you end up disappearing permanently. You can't have normal friends because normal people mustn't know what you are. Your only companions are fellow ninja trainees who are simultaneously your competitors. Nothing quite builds camaraderie like knowing your dormitory neighbor might be ordered to kill you one day. By 16, you're a fully operational shinobi, and life only becomes more riveting. Your first proper infiltration mission has you hiding in the ceiling rafters of an enemy lord's castle for 3 days straight. 3 days of not moving, not speaking, barely breathing, and relieving yourself into a special container because ninja bathroom breaks simply aren't a thing. The glamour is truly overwhelming. Romance? Forget it entirely. Any relationship would constitute a security risk, though there's that rather attractive ninja from the neighboring clan. Wait, are they here on a mission to gather intelligence on your clan? Are you on a mission to gather intelligence on theirs? Are we falling in love or simply testing each other's reaction times? Difficult to say, really. Advanced training introduces you to the thrilling world of torture resistance. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, unless it maims you permanently, which happens with a rather disturbing frequency. Your clan keeps a collection of retired ninjas missing various body parts as a cheerful reminder of your potential futures. At least they're alive, which is more than can be said for many. Let's discuss your glamorous wardrobe. The iconic all-black outfit is actually rarely worn. Mostly you're dressed as a thoroughly dull peasant or merchant, because the entire point is not to look like a ninja. The proper ninja gear is reserved for night missions or occasions when you're specifically meant to be terrifying. Most days you're wearing scratchy peasant clothing and pretending to be interested in the price of turnips. The myths surrounding ninja abilities are wildly exaggerated. 2. No, you cannot actually vanish in a puff of smoke. That's merely a clever use of distraction and terrain. You cannot walk on water either, though you become rather good at using those special shoes to distribute your weight across lily pads for short distances. Not quite the supernatural powers everyone goes on about. For all your training and considerable skills, much of your work involves extraordinarily tedious surveillance. It turns out most conversations you overhear concern crop yields or grumbles about the weather, but you dutifully report everything regardless. The daimyo's cousin had fish for supper and complained about his hemorrhoids. Again, crucial intelligence. Naturally, the pay is dreadful. 2. While samurai receive stipends and social standing, you receive secrecy. You can't exactly list expert assassin on your CV when exploring retirement options. Your rewards typically amount to simply not being executed for failure, and occasionally a bit of extra rice. Living the dream. By your 30s, if you've managed to survive this long, you're considered a senior shinobi. Your knees ache constantly from all that crouching in awkward positions. You've got at least 3 partially healed stab wounds, and that one shoulder that never quite rotated properly after that rooftop escape went rather badly wrong. But now you get to train the next generation of miserable shadow warriors. Circle of life and all that. The real excitement arrives when the rival clan decides your lot knows far too many secrets. Nothing quite says job security like having your entire village targeted for extermination. Political alliances shift faster than you can say, I thought we were on the same side. And suddenly yesterday's employer is today's assassin. Retirement? That's adorable. Most ninjas don't live long enough to concern themselves with a pension. But should you manage to retire, you get to live a quiet life, by which I mean you spend the remainder of your days glancing nervously over your shoulder. The fortunate ones eventually become trainers or intelligence analysts. The unfortunate ones, well, there's a reason your clan has quite so many unmarked graves. There's always the alternative, of course. Fake your own death and live as a fisherman. Just hope your enemies aren't particularly fond of seafood. Your glory days of stealth and espionage gradually give way to mentoring the next generation. You watch the bright-eyed young recruits and consider telling them the truth, that a lifetime spent operating in the shadows leaves you with chronic pain, paranoia, and a complete inability to form ordinary human connections. Instead, you simply demonstrate the correct way to throw a shuriken for the 1,000th time. In your final years, you come to appreciate the ultimate irony. You spent your entire life being somebody else, hiding in plain sight, and now nobody, not even you, knows who you truly are. You become the ultimate disguise, a ghost even before death. You've worn 1,000 faces, and yet you haven't the faintest idea what your own looks like. Perhaps you're simply a very dangerous nobody. One night, you sense a presence in your room. A talented young shinobi from a rival clan has been dispatched to eliminate you. You could wake and defend yourself, but instead you keep your breathing steady and even. Perhaps this is precisely how it ought to end. One shadow consumed by another. As the blade descends, you have just one final thought. Next time, definitely choose to be a boring farmer instead.